beautiful day. Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I'm Worship Associate Sue Brinkmeyer, and I am joined in facilitating this service by Worship Associate and bell ringer, Celia Ortenberg. Our minister, the Reverend Dana Worsnop, is away from the pulpit today while recovering from successful hip replacement surgery. Today's service will feature church members Cary Davis, Yukio Okano, Powell, and Maricela Morales, sharing with us stories from their volunteer work, side by side, with people with whom and for whom they are striving to build a better world, a better future for us all. Their stories of working with our own UU children and their families, with folks experiencing homelessness, and with local farm workers, immigrants, and underserved members of our broader community are but a sampling of the wonderful work so many volunteers in this church are doing. No matter how you are joining us today, here in person or via the wonders of technology, we are so glad you are all here as we gather to keep love at the center of our lives and the way we move in the world. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. All are welcome here. We preface our service by acknowledging our building rests on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Chumash people. Let us pause and remember that the ground we live on is sacred, and it cries out for justice and responsible stewardship. In so remembering, may we find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and all her peoples. We thank those of you sitting in this section of seats nearest the open windows for wearing masks. That's much appreciated by those who are more comfortable, among others who are also masked. And the following announcements reflect just a few of the many ways this vibrant, caring community reaches out to connect with one another and the broader world. And you are invited to join in. On Thursday, February 22, from 6 to 7:30, Ruth Capel will give a talk on different Mardi Gras traditions in 7 countries and several centuries. This talk was an auction offering, but all are very welcome to attend. Studying Toni Morrison, led by Ryan Schumacher and Susan Franzblau, will have its first of 5 meetings dedicated to reading and studying The Bluest Eye on Saturday, February 24. So that's next week from 10 a.m. to 12:30. A new women's group will meet for the first time on Tuesday, February 27 at 6 p.m. in the green room back there, our art gallery. If you're interested, contact Rena Pizzuto. And a taste of India and Thailand, led by Zena Kingshill and Gary Noreen, will take place in Berg Hall, that's our community room through there, Thursday, February 29th, with dinner at 6 p.m. for $15 and a free presentation about their experiences in these 2 lands at 7 p.m. Details about these and other upcoming events are in our weekly email bulletin, UUCV This Week. They do sound good. Now, bring with you what is yours: a burdened heart, a joyous song, a seeking mind, a spirit that is weary or eager to serve, and let us enter sacred space.
I'm Worship Associate Celia Ortenberg, And I invite those of you who are Zooming or streaming into the service to light a chalice or a candle at home as Sue lights the chalice of our free faith here in our sanctuary. Our opening words this morning are from Mark Morrison Reed. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that tie each to all. There is a connectedness, a relationship discovered amid the particulars of your own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength is too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome. I am Carolyn Bjerke, the music director, and I want to welcome you all here in the sanctuary and online. Our opening hymn is Here We Have Gathered. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing. Here we have gathered, gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matter small and great. We of all ages, living out our span, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
All you good and beautiful people. I'm Cary Davis, and I'm here to share with you my reflections on my work as volunteer in our church. Martin Luther King once said, faith is the first step you take when you don't see the whole staircase. After the pandemic, there were a lot of first steps I have had to take on faith as a teacher volunteer, where I couldn't completely see where all the best steps to take were. But I kept on trying and eventually made progress, and the personal rewards for my volunteering have been both many and profound. For just as my dear friends Lori Lemson and Cheryl Gilbert found in their teaching, I also found that the longer I volunteered in religious education, the better and more deeply I began to understand our Unitarian Universalist faith and its principles myself. In order to make our family ministry strong, I believe it's crucially important to help make our whole church as strong as I am able. I serve the church community at many levels and am one of a small but growing group of people who help organize setting up the food tables on Sunday morning and cleaning up the kitchen in Burke Hall afterwards. I became part of this group, the kitchen cabinet, because I believe it's important to be able to feed everyone in the congregation on Sundays. One important job of the kitchen cabinet is to organize the delivery and slicing of bagels on Sunday morning. We make sure there are bagels for everyone, for children, for families, for people who have not had breakfast, for people who are hungry. It makes me happy to know there's plenty of food for everyone to eat and everyone's going to be fed, because I believe that feeding the stomach is feeding the spirit and that it's an act of love. And I want to make sure, if I can, as much as I'm able, that nobody leaves our church hungry. When I can, I like to serve as family ministry greeter before the service starts. I love to stand near the entrance of the church and welcome people and families to make them feel loved. It's a very happy job, and it is a great start to the day. I also like to create bulletin boards in Burke Hall so that members and visitors can learn about the opportunities in the church and about activities available so that they can make connections and become part of our church community. The bulletin board for family ministry is titled, Together We Grow. The flowers represent our precious UU children and our youth as they grow towards the light of our free faith shining down on them. The roots of the flowers are the wavy titles of the 14 pillars of the foundation of family ministry that include the pillars of youth ministry and love as our center and our guide. The meaning of the title, Together We Grow, represents a critical part of family ministry, a critical role for family ministry in increasing our total church population. The title also reflects a very important congregate contribution that adult congregants of any age provide for our program and for our children and our youth as they themselves mature, when they participate in the last foundation of family ministry, connections across generations, where they are so urgently needed to provide the last pivotal pillar of the youth ministry as a spiritual leader, guiding our next generation of leaders into the future ahead. But though I serve our church in many areas and in many ways, everything I do is really for the children. For I have determined that my work teaching and caring for our children and their families is where I can best incorporate all of my UU principles into my life. My goal and my earnest wish for our children is that they always feel our church is welcoming, open, friendly, caring, creative, adventurous, and a happy place to come. A place where a child, any youth or family who comes will always feel safe, welcome, and fed, and cared for at all levels. A place where a child or youth or family can both connect with their inner spirit and spend time with their fun and friends. It's a big dream with important goals, but we definitely can use more hands to help us to see it through. But united, I know we can make it happen, for together we grow. I believe that the shared wisdom embodied in our principles and our embrace of the coexistence of all faiths is the path of love. the path of peace and the path into the future. I believe Unitarian Universalism is the religion of the future, and that it is our role to make a deep, earnest, and active commitment to support our UUCV children and youth who are future leaders and our defining legacy for the future. Their destiny is our destiny. It is they who will care for the environmental and social justice of the future. And it is they who will need to unite together in order to protect our Earth's lifeboat long after we are gone. In whatever way I serve our children through serving the church, I will continue to volunteer because it is here I feel I can make a difference. And the children and the youth make a difference in me. The children give me hope. They give me determination. They give me purpose, that by providing foundational support to them as much as I am able, I am making a difference. In return, my heart is lifted by their joy, wonder, and curiosity. These are the spiritual treasures I get when I volunteer in family ministry, where growing smiles around me fill the universe with light. Namaste.
And all the RE teachers here, Janice, David, Cheryl, and Lori, and Dave. And we can always use more. So if you'd like to help out with the children, please see me afterwards. My name is Lily Rapaport, and I'm going to call up the young ones to come up in front to sit here as we tell the story. Come on. Yes. Oh. Today's story is called We Are Better Together by Bill McKibben. Bill McKibben is an activist, a journalist, an author who is an environmentalist. And you might have heard of him as he fights for climate justice. So this story is a celebration of the power of human collaboration. When we work together, we can do incredible things together. We Are Better Together by Bill McKibben and illustrated by Stevie Lewis. The human game is a team sport. It took a band, a clan, a community to raise humans to adulthood. We hunted together in groups, and with our complete language, with our complex language, we're able to keep track of one another. When we work together, we can do incredible things. We can harness the power of the sun. We can reforest the land. We can help lost sea turtles find their way back to the ocean. We can accept with grace that each of us has a moment and a place, that our humanness is important. We have the tools to allow us to stand up to the power, to the powerful, and to the reckless. We know the value of love. It's love that works to feed the hungry. It's love that comes together in defense of sea turtles and sea ice and all else around us that is good. It's love that lets each of us see that we're not the most important thing on earth and makes us okay with that. It's love that welcomes us imperfect into the world. We live on an unbearably beautiful planet, a planet that needs us humans to play together, to cooperate. We're capable of acting together to do remarkable things. So, we'd best get started soon. Create change, stronger together. And with that thought in mind, we're going to sing the children out. And if you would, in the middle aisle here, create a bridge of love and follow if you're new. And let us sing our children to the classrooms.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
So today, on our little rug up here, I saw children who were sitting on that rug not so very long ago. So I think Cary is right. The ER program, educational, religious education program, is the voice of our future, and it just brought tears to my eyes. But now is the time of our wonderful offering. Giving away our offering each Sunday is one of the ways that this congregation comes together to make a difference in the world. It is one way in which we are stronger together. These funds help an organization in our larger community or in our own church, or they aid members of our congregation when they are in need. Folks at home can give through the link that's posted on the Zoom chat or by texting from your phone to the number that's on the screen. Those of you present here in the sanctuary can also text to give on, or you can drop cash or a check in a basket at the back of the sanctuary at the end of the service. Our offering today goes to our own Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness Motel Fund Ministry to help people for whom just a night or two in a motel can be life-changing. Now the slides this morning say,
No, it's right.
they got it right?
It was wrong during the announcements, but right now.
Oh, see, that's what happens when I don't look and see for myself. Thank you, Sue, and thank you in the back for putting up the right slide today. This fund, the Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness Motel Fund Ministry, was especially helpful during the recent rains when a case manager called to say that she would be able to get a 90-year-old woman and her mentally ill son into permanent housing if she could just house them in a motel for 2 nights while she finished up the process of enrolling them in the behavioral health service in the county. We provided the 2 nights that they needed. They not only stayed out of the terrible rain, but they finished their paperwork and got into the behavioral health housing. Everyone involved was so grateful that the members of this church came together to help. So thank you for giving generously, as you always do. Thank you, Carolyn. That was beautiful. And we are so grateful for the generosity of this congregation, which helps weave the tapestry of love that we call community.
Good morning. My name is Yukio Okano, and I'm going to share some thoughts about my volunteer work on homelessness. My first contact with homelessness came in way back in 1978 when I started my first job as a psychologist at Metropolitan State Hospital near Los Angeles. Each morning I was part of a clinical team that interviewed patients brought in on 5150 involuntary holds. These are people who were suicidal, a threat to others, or were considered gravely disabled. Many, if not most of these folks were homeless. I still remember how sad I felt to hear how chaotic their lives had become. Fast forward to 2016. After working as a psychologist for 40 years, in retirement I thought about how I could use my clinical background in volunteer work. That opportunity came along when Sue Brinkmeyer encouraged me to apply to become a member of the Oxnard Commission on Homelessness. And I want to publicly thank Sue for guiding me in this direction. The mission of the Commission on Homelessness is to advise the city about how to deal with homelessness. I quickly learned that homelessness today is a messy, complicated problem with no easy solutions. Civil rights leader Bryan Stevenson wrote about the importance of proximity. He wrote, "It's actually in proximity to the poor that we hear things that we won't otherwise hear, that we'll see things that we won't otherwise see. The things we hear and see are critical to our knowledge and our capacity to problem solve. To change the world, we are each going to have to find ways to get closer to people who are living on the margins of society." I would add that proximity to those in power or those who claim to be helpers may be equally important. And this is where my experience as a volunteer became complicated and not always pleasant. If you are old enough, some of you may remember a movie that came out in 1966, a classic Western called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The music from that movie may be better known than the actual movie, but if you heard the tune, you'd recognize it. So I'm going to borrow these categories to share my volunteer experiences. First, the good. I want to be clear that volunteering is a good thing. Being side by side with unhoused people has made me think about my own values. It is truly humbling to see that people can be happy having much less than what most of us feel entitled to. One of my simple volunteer acts is to drop off our leftover Sunday bagels at the Oxnard shelter. It is humbling to see how grateful people are to get our leftovers. I have learned a lot about how city and county government work. I've gotten to know Oxnard officials and staff, especially in the housing department. I have seen firsthand that we are all humans, housed or unhoused. Not all the homeless are mentally ill, and not all are drug addicts. There are the working poor, those who have lost jobs or had medical issues, or victims of domestic violence. More elderly folks and families are becoming homeless. The bad. I have been struck by the dysfunction of people and systems designed to help the unhoused. I learned about government bureaucracy. How is it that government can be so slow until it isn't? Shelters are opened immediately when floods and fires occur in affluent areas. Why is help for the homeless so slow? I have been criticized for not doing enough or trying to do too much. I have even been criticized for never having been homeless, and thus, what do I know? and the ugly. I saw members of the Commission on Homelessness not getting along and unable to agree on what to advocate for as solutions. People who should know better undermined reasonable ideas. Some people had political agendas, such as using the commission to run for office. I was threatened to be sued. I got telephone calls, text messages, emails telling me what a bad person I am. I saw NIMBYism up close. Before the Oxnard shelter now being built, and by the way, there's a brand new shelter being built in downtown Oxnard, we held a series of community forums when potential locations were found. People say they want to help the homeless, but they don't want them near them. The level of fear and anger towards the unhoused was deeply unsettling to me. But I want to emphasize there is more good than the bad and the ugly. I learned that there are many nonprofit organizations that are doing incredible work to help the homeless. Our own UUCV is an example. There are amazing people who have devoted themselves to helping others. The members of our own Lift Up Your Voice are examples of such people. I had the privilege of serving on the Commission of Homelessness for 7 years, including serving as chair before I resigned. Despite the challenges, good things have happened. Oxnard is building a new shelter and permanent supportive housing. The city started an annual Longest Night memorial service, like Ventura's, to honor the unhoused who have died. For the first time, Oxnard started a foul weather shelter program this year. Every volunteer experience is different. My suggestion is to choose something that interests you. There are many opportunities to serve, both here at church and in the community. You will get back more than you put in, including learning something about yourself and becoming a greater part of the community. Thank you.
When we come together each week, we take time to share the great joys and sorrows that grace our lives. We place a stone in water as each is shared, and the ripples that go out represent the way that something that touches the heart of one of us travels throughout our community to touch us all. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate, memorialize, or bring into the loving embrace of this beloved community. Please feel free to continue to add to the chat after the silent pause has ended. Celia will now place one final stone in the water for all the joys or sorrows just shared and those yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life.
Stirrings of compassion, I'm Kathy Powell. I came to this church because of people I met while I was volunteering. They were also volunteers, and I just kept hearing a whisper, "We go to the Unitarian Universalist Church." It piqued my interest and drew me in when I was broken, has helped heal me. I spent 12 years volunteering during the hard years of the AIDS crisis and have spent about the same time now with the homeless. As time has gone on, I have seen many similarities with the way society has viewed and judged people in these populations. Things changed for people living with HIV, but it's still okay to hate and discriminate against homeless folks. When I moved to Ventura, I didn't know how to handle coming out of the grocery store parking lots with people asking for money. I found every way around so that I wouldn't have to come face to face with people's eyes. It hurt my heart. Then I went to donate at the local harbor church. When I walked in the courtyard, there were homeless people who represented my whole family. There was Kevin and I, the recovering alcoholics, our daughter Shannon, who once wandered the streets of Ventura homeless in her addiction. There was my son, the Iraq veteran, with a dollop of brain trauma, and our other son who has autism, my mom who had mental health issues, and my sister who, like many homeless women, lost custody of her children and eventually ended up committing suicide. There were people who lost their jobs, their house or apartment, got divorced, or the rent was raised and they couldn't keep up. It sounds really drastic, condensed in a few sentences, but it is the life that we all live. This is all part of what we have in our households. The people in the courtyard were our family members, even if not born in our families. I, as usual, ended up volunteering almost like a full-time job. I always do that. As I volunteered, I heard all the stories of the people there, and all the people became people to me, not the faces at the exits of the grocery stores asking for money. They begged to work in the kitchen. They wanted something to do. Please let me help, they begged me. Right, Roy? I still get people from that time asking to help me. Cooking for everyone there was a beautiful and magical and exhausting experience. All of this taught me, again, what I already knew. Volunteering teaches us. It teaches us things about our community and society that we would never know just driving by or reading the Nextdoor app. It teaches us to see things from a completely different perspective. No, there aren't enough shelter beds or a true place to get out of the pouring rain. No, a lot of people aren't wanting to stay out living homeless. They're exhausted with the promises and trying to have it all fall apart. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't do this, and I couldn't bring it back to you. Volunteering helped me get out of my prescribed existence. Our son has many health issues. I can't commit to a traditional job. I have to tend to him to be available and flexible. This helped me transcend some of the sadness and terror I feel as I spend my days trying to fix him, which is proving to be elusive. They always say, get out of yourself. Well, this sure does that. It helps me sometimes more than I am helping others. Oh, and the people I have met volunteering with, my God, how they have enriched my life. To be around people like-minded, same values, shiny, sparkling treasures helping me. When I lost my lung to cancer, they surrounded me and my family. When I just had my knees replaced, the same. I love being in their presence. It's an honor and a blessing. I want to highlight one person we met volunteering. Irene came to us with the Speakers Bureau we facilitated. We fell in love with her and were astounded at her tenacity and civic engagement. While living in the river bottom, she went to the city. She asked for trash bags and gloves and shovels. She got her fellow residents to pitch in and clean up. She arranged a pickup on Harbor Boulevard for the trash bags with the city and got another person down in the river bottom with an ATV to load the bags on his vehicle and drive them to the road. Just one example of why we are gobsmacked by her. We watched as she struggled in the river bottom, and after many attempts was finally housed. We got to furnish her new place. Once she was housed, she even hosted an annual Thanksgiving event with food and clothes for her homeless friends in her driveway. Many of us had stayed involved in Irene's life, and 3.5 years after moving in, our hearts were ripped out. with hers when her place burned down. We were there from the first afternoon of the fire, making sure she had a motel room to stay in, and this community of volunteers have been here with clothes, food, and assistance. Now, here we are, hopefully helping her in a few weeks move into a new place. But it's been months now that we've been waiting, months in uncertainty. Helping with the deposit and furniture because we love her. And the people I volunteer with get this. They get great joy out of spending time with Irene. We are all the same human family. Sometimes I feel I get more out of volunteer than the people I'm trying to help. I know I will never solve homelessness, but I know myself and the people that work with me make a difference in so many ways for so many individual people and community issues. It's not easy at all, but something that resonates with me, a quote from the movie Moulin Rouge. The greatest thing you will ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
I love that. Standing ovation for Kathy, who does so much. And, you know, you may not have noticed, but Irene is here with us today as well. So we have a reading in two voices, which is from Marge Piercy.
Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground.
You cannot always tell what is happening by looking.
More than half of a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet.
When you are working to make change, you must sometimes penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet.
Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree.
Spread the squash plant that overruns the garden.
Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar.
Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket and bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and lairs.
Reach out. Keep reaching out. Keep bringing in.
For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growing, the harvest comes.
I invite us now to close our eyes and to get comfortable in our seats as we move into this time of silent reflection and contemplation. As we breathe a few nice deep breaths together, we quiet our minds, we let go of the concerns of the day, the week behind us, and the week ahead of us. We simply follow the empty breath. As we breathe together, we might feel those connections that grow between us, that strive to make this a better world for all. May we find our center and open our hearts. Breathe in, breathe out.
This song might get you smiling or tapping your toes, and if you feel like joining in at verse 3, go ahead and sing along with us.
We all need more kindness in this world. We all need more kindness in this world. You may look high and low, but there's no place else to go. We all need more kindness in this world.
We all need more friendship in this world. We all need more friendship in this world. You may look high and low, but there's no place else to go. We all need more friendship in this world.
Loving.
We all need more loving in this world. We all need more loving in this world. You may look high and low, but there's no place else to go. We all need more loving in this world.
Oneness.
We need more oneness in this world. We all need more oneness in this world. You may look high and low, but there's no place else to go. We all need more oneness in this world.
Justice.
We all need more justice in this world. We all need more justice in this world. You may look high and low, but there's no place else to go. We all need more justice in this world.
We all need more kindness in this world.
Buenos días. My name is Maricela Morales. A week ago Saturday was the 124th anniversary of my grandmother, Francisca Castillo Estrella's birth in 1900 in a small hamlet, San Buenaventura, Tecolotlan, Jalisco, Mexico. Mi mamá, my 85-year-old mom, hasn't been to our family's graves, her parents, in nearly 20 years. And so that Saturday, the plan was for us to go to All Souls Cemetery in Long Beach to visit our family graves. A couple days before Saturday, I get a text from Cause Action. The election ballots for the March primary have been mailed out, and Cause Action is getting out the vote, asking me to volunteer on Saturday. So Cause Action raises money to pay people as well as recruits volunteers to go door to door to encourage new and low propensity voters to vote. Low propensity voters or unlikely voters are registered voters who haven't voted in the last 5 elections. And visiting and talking with voters in person, face to face, is the most powerful way to get out the vote. So I had a choice to make: continue with the plan for me to take my mom to visit our family graves on Saturday, or volunteer to do voter canvassing. I felt torn. My dad died less than a year ago, and my mom is now living with us, and I'm feeling very sensitive about doing things with my mom. In the end, I decided to volunteer to get out the vote with immigrant and farm worker families. In California, even though non-Hispanic whites make up only 1/3 of the state population, they make up 2/3 of eligible voters. And so to actually have a living democracy, we need to increase voter participation among immigrant, farm worker, and low-wage working, mostly people of color households. And also, coming from an immigrant family, this is personal. Voter canvassing started that Saturday at Cause Action in South Oxnard at the office called Centro Mujer. It's called Centro Mujer, woman, meaning woman, because almost 20 years ago, when we were organizing amongst immigrant women, they identified that we needed a space in South Oxnard for women and others to gather to organize for justice. And so last Saturday, my voter canvassing partner and I drove over to the Lemonwood neighborhood of South Oxnard. And the first person I had the chance to talk with was a 19-year-old young woman. Because she was young, I thought it was more likely that she had grown up here. And so I spoke to her in English. I went through my talking points about voting for Kim Mara Stevenson for County Supervisor, District 3. I finished with the question of, so can we count on your vote? She had been smiling all along, but she was hesitating to speak. And so with that information, I asked her, ¿prefieres que te lo diga en español? And she said yes. And so I repeated what I had already said in English in Spanish. And at that point, I asked her if we could count on her vote for Kim Mara Stevenson, and she said yes. Before leaving, I loved telling her how powerful her vote is. All the more powerful because very few people like her are eligible to vote. So I kept knocking on doors, and regularly about a third, even a half of people aren't at home or have moved. And so I talked to a young Latino man, and this is his first election. He didn't even remember having registered to vote. And then I talked to a Filipino man who listened very intently to everything that I was saying. And I never know how people are gonna, react or what they actually think. I try to be upbeat and positive. I figure, having a stranger on a Saturday morning talking to you about voting, might not be their cup of tea. But you know what? I always walk away feeling so inspired because at least these folks, in my experience, have always been really appreciative and happy that someone is talking to them about voting. And so then I knocked on, so the Filipino man was absolutely, yes, I will vote. Thank you for the information. Then I talked to a couple that had just driven up back to their home, Spanish-speaking couple, and I gave them the information. And they were a little bit more suspicious and said, well, we need to look into this ourselves. And I said, absolutely, investiguen su información, go for it, get more information. And then I talked with a Spanish-speaking immigrant man, older gentleman, and he really held on to me, telling me that he was actually very upset that why does it seem that the U.S. seems to help new immigrants, people just coming over the border? It seems that they're ready to help. And what about immigrants who have been here for 30 years, contributing to the system? As I listened to him more, it turned out that his wife was bedridden, and they didn't qualify for Medi-Cal to help cover some of the medical costs. And so, he was concerned about that. And so, talking with immigrants and farm worker families to get out the vote brings me face to face with the reality that no group is a monolith. I volunteer with Cause Action because Cause Action is the only local nonprofit that is dedicated in our community to prioritizing getting the vote with immigrant families, farm worker families, low-wage working families. That is a priority. Political parties and candidates, they focus on likely voters. They don't want to, they don't have the money or the time to convince people to get out to vote. So they focus on people that are already regular voters and try to convince them to vote, for their party or for them as a candidate. So Cause Action is the only organization locally that is focused, prioritizes specifically on these unlikely voters. And so I am committed to reaching out to immigrant and farm worker families with Cause Action inspired by our principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And our dignity as humans includes self-agency, the ability to speak for ourselves, to advocate for ourselves, and especially if we have little political power as immigrants and farm workers do, then getting out the vote with that community, to me, is so powerful about affirming their inherent worth and human dignity through their vote. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Maricela, for that powerful message. Would you please join me in our closing hymn, We'll Build a Land? Rise in body or spirit.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. And please note especially the final sentence we say here in the service together. We extinguish this flame, but not the truth or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry into our lives until we have to get together again.
I am so impressed by what all of our volunteers are doing. Thank you to all of you who give your time. All of you here in the sanctuary are invited after the service for coffee, tea, and bagels and conversation in our community room, Berg Hall, right through those sets of doors. Visitors and guests especially are invited to stop by our connecting table for a chat. There's a sign overhead, and nearby there's a welcome team member who'll be happy to answer members any questions you might have about our church or denomination. These are also a good place to start if you're interested in exploring volunteer opportunities with which our church members are involved. Kitty Merrill, volunteer Kitty Merrill, has created this amazing chart that summarizes current church activities. There's some copies at the connecting table, and if all those get taken, there's one on the bulletin board with UUC events and activities right next to the welcome table. Those of you on Zoom are invited to join in community too. Just accept the invitation you'll see on your screen after the benediction and enter a breakout room for conversation. And folks here in the sanctuaries can stop by and visit with those folks too on the TV that's set up in Berg Hall. So I leave you with these words from Dorothy Day. People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of your thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has a right to sit down and feel hopeless. There is much work to do. So, go forth in peace, go forth in love, and build connections that with time and patience will surely weave a world with more kindness, more love, and more justice. May it be so.